He is a part of CBS Sports coverage of the Masters. Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show, David Feherty. How are you, David?
I'm doing fine. Thanks, Rich.
You're on your way? Are you on your way to it?
I'm actually in a town car heading for DFW, and I'll be there as soon as I can.
Okay. Well, if the GPS goes off, I'll know you're probably going, you're hog hunting or something like that. You're just going to go.
Well, on the way, yes. The drive-by.
So, David, I had Jim Nantz on the show last week, and he sort of chided me for bringing up Tiger, that was essentially the low-hanging fruit, and that this is really all about McIlroy going for a career Grand Slam. Where do you stand on what the main storyline is entering the Masters this week?
Well, I mean, I think there are two of them for sure. I mean, Rory and that Grand Slam is a huge story, but how can you can't avoid Tiger Woods, and it's such a spotlight shining on him. When he tees it up on that first tee on Thursday, I don't think there'll be a player in history that has had a spotlight like that on them. I mean, what is going to happen? What's going to happen, Rich? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, that's what I want to know. And I think a lot of people are wondering if he's doing this, that this is the line from Pulp Fiction, Pride, messing with his mind, that he can't take the Masters off, that this is it for him, and he might not really be ready to do this. Do you think that this is a prideful thing for him, or he really is ready physically, mentally to get out there, tournament golf, and it's the Masters that he's coming back to do?
I have no clue, but I'll say this. You know, if you're physically ready to play the Masters, how can you resist the temptation to play the Masters? I don't think it's possible. It's such an amazing event, and he cares about it so much. To put himself through this particular ordeal, to get under this kind of an intense light, he can't resist it. It's an amazing thing to see, you know, and I don't doubt him, Rich, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if he'll be able to play well this week, but I know that he'll play well again. People have written him off. A lot of people have. I haven't. You know, I really think, you know, that as talented and as strong as he's been physically and mentally, that he will be able to come back, and perhaps not to play as well as he did around the turn of the century. But then I don't think my children will see that, or their children will see golf like that in their lifetimes.
David Feherty of CBS Sports joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show on his way to the airport to go wing off to Georgia to be part of the CBS Sports coverage. So lay out McIlroy's chances, in your estimation, to me, to win this one, David.
Well, I think he has a great chance, but he has some obstacles, though, in the form of Jordan Spieth and Dustin Johnson and you know, even Sergio Garcia. Look out for him this week. I think he may well contend. It's harder and harder to win major championships these days. The strength and depth is so extraordinary, and I think the Masters is the toughest of them all. To win the Masters tournament is so special. And for Rory, everyone, I think most people have forgotten the meltdown. Was it 2000? I don't know. I've forgotten it too, apparently. Yeah. When he got, you know, on the second nine with four-stroke lead and just unraveled. And of course, people wanted to write him off after that as well, but he came right back and won the very next major by 8. So he's the most perfect player I've seen since Tiger. And he's perfect on both sides of the camera as well. He's an extraordinary young man, and it would surprise me greatly if he doesn't contend this week.
What's it like, David? David Feherty of CBS Sports joining me here. What's it like sitting out there on that course? What is it like broadcasting the Masters? You're sitting there on I believe you're still going to be on Amen Corner. What is that like, David? Or nearby?
Well, it's an amazing experience. This will be my 18th, and as a broadcaster, and I sit behind the 15th green. If I turn around in my swivel chair, I'm almost on the front edge of the 16th green, and I can see all the way down over the stands, you know, to the 14th tee and 13th green. One of the great mistakes you can make as a sports broadcaster is to look away from your monitor.
Sure.
You have to watch the monitor because that's what the viewer is seeing. And it's the hardest thing of all to do when you sit behind the 15th green. If I peek out from behind it, I can see the players at the top of the hill looking down at the water in front of the green and the little sliver of putting surface and the water hazard behind in front of the 16th tee. And it's so easy to get caught up in the moment. You really got to pay attention to. I'll tell you one magical moment. In 2004, Phil Mickelson went through 15 in the last group, and I was getting ready to come down out of the tower, and I thought, no, I'll stay and watch it because nobody could get near the 18th green. And I just happened to look out of my tower, and around every tower where there was a hard camera, there were 200 or 300 people clustered looking 20 feet up into the air at a 4x6 black and white viewfinder. Our cameramen had turned their cameras up in the air so the crowd below could see into the viewfinder. And there were just clusters of them around the golf course that couldn't get to see anything in the last group. And the feeling that Mickelson might just do it, it was magical. It was surreal looking out over the golf course in that total silence, interrupted by these amazing roars from the crowd in front, just to see those groups of people trying to catch a glimpse of that magic moment.
Yeah, and then Firethorn, the name of the hole, it's the spot where you can make up the ground, or if you need to make up the ground, if you need to gamble, you have to, or if you don't have to gamble, some players think that they may have to do that because it's a par 5 that is reachable in certain way. I just love this hole, David. It's so dramatic. Certainly when you know that par 3 is coming up, and then the big finish with 17 and 18, where it is tough to make some shots up. This is where the action's at, David, in many ways.
It's genius. The inward half, when you turn for home on a Sunday afternoon at Augusta in the Masters tournament, you've got one of the great tests of golf in front of you, not because it's so difficult, but because it asks you so many questions. And if you do make a mistake, it allows you the opportunity to recover from it. It's not the U.S. Open where if somebody hits it offline, they've got to hack out sideways. There is a gap in the trees. You do have a full swing, and it asks you the question, are you man enough for this? And that's why it's so compelling. You can't get up and go to the refrigerator. You might miss something. And the 15th hole, the 13th hole are two reachable par 5s, but it's not always a good idea to try and reach them. The thing is, if you lay up on both of them, you're left with exceptionally difficult third shots. And if you hit it over the back, which is quite often the safe play, you'll see people hit it over the back of the 15th green on purpose and then find themselves in a spot where they can't hit it onto the green for fear of going over the front and into the water. It's a tightrope. And, with that green jacket at the end of it, it's just, awesome. I can't wait for it. I love it so much every year.
Me too. I can't wait. And I will be parked on the couch with my kids watching you and Nance and Vern Lundquist and the rest of the crew. And I look forward to it every year, especially hearing you on the broadcast. David, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, Rich. Anytime.
Yeah, we'll chat very soon. That's David Feherty.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.